What up guys, Julien here, and we're gonna be going up to Syracuse, New York to go to visit Yvonne today. I know, another vlog that's not the Japanese vlog. What the hell is happening to this channel? I don't know. But we're gonna be going up there today, and that should be pretty fun. I'm gonna be spending the weekend with him. We'll get up to some shenanigans, I'm sure, and maybe we'll actually record a Let's Play and a podcast. I don't know. Let's go. New York City subway system. In contrast to the Japanese subway system. Really trash red in here. It's a trash heap over here. Oh my god, that's a lot of trash. God damn. Where's the hashtag trash tag here? God damn. How the fuck is it so cold in this goddamn city? God damn it. Oh. Look who it is. Woo! Oh yeah.
Hi everyone. He's arrived. Look at that. I don't know if I'm in focus. Ah!
Fucking cold. How do you live here?
I don't know, dude. But at least you took the train instead of the bus.
I am not busing to Syracuse from New York ever again. That's not something I do.
Welcome.
Gotta check out the gaming chair. This guy's sick. Do the what is it? The fucking the setup.
MTV Cribs?
Yeah, MTV Cribs are here.
Hey guys, welcome to the Man Cave. This is where I make all my videos. You'll recognize a lot of it, but a lot of it is just this green screen. I just recently got this chair. It's awesome.
How far can it go back?
Like a real gamer. How? And then I just pull the ripcord and I go, ooh. I'm just gonna take a nap. You guys can go explore the rest of the house.
Alright. Got the Russian flag, because it's pretty ridiculous in here. Feel like Stalin.
Yeah, now I've returned from my nap. It's time to get a look at the rest of the house. This is our gaming and dining room. As you can see, we're real gamers over here. Not just computers, not just PlayStation, but real board games. That's how real gamers go.
It's a little much. It's a little much fun. Bagels?
You talk about fancy New York bagels, but are they vegan? Ooh. These are...
Gross. Are those
French
vegan?
Toast bagel.
Are they vegan?
Yes, they're vegan bagels.
They're vegan bagels.
Why?
Because we serve vegans in the cafe.
Oh, so you took
cafe.
them. Okay.
Yeah, those are like
fine.
We did not buy all those bagels because
you fit the front, remember?
What? Why? What? I don't remember.
We never were able to fit the front because the front didn't fit with these fans.
But it said it was... Oh, well, that's dumb. Yo, sick. oh, it's a digital. We're about to get real nerdy on this vlog.
Hell yeah.
Oh, 6-second monitor, bro.
Thanks.
Are these nanoparticles?
These are whatever the standard Windows back screen.
You don't have your own.
Because I don't customize it, because I don't give a shit.
Oh my god.
It's just one of those things that I couldn't care less about.
Okay. Oh, there's actually a program for this?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. You dropped this?
Yeah, at some point. Oh, I dropped it off of here when I was cleaning it or whatever.
Damn.
See, check out, this is my world.
Ah, very... Just catching up on some missed matches, no big deal. Vaughn's having some scotch though. That's the fancy shit. Don't fuck around with this guy. Yeah. Vaughn, you've never looked more presentable.
Yeah, thank you.
You don't have a real... That's funny.
No,
That's a funny... I'm sure you do,
real
yeah.
bow ties, but I like this one a lot.
That one is pretty funny, actually.
I have a matching pocket square for it.
Where are we going today?
We are going to tour wineries all over, I believe it's Cayuga Lake.
Uh-huh.
So Ravines, then Herman Weimer, and then Lamoureux, and then a gin specializing distillery on Seneca Lake.
One of the most pretentious things people do.
Yes.
We are doing today. I'm
Absolutely.
excited.
But it's cheap because it's upstate New York.
Yes, upstate New York, the greatest place to do cheap things.
Food and wine blogs. That's what our channels become.
Yes. We decided to scrap all of the footage, except for Yvonne dancing that one time. And drinking some wine. And then we're gonna make some sweet pancakes.
Hey everyone, welcome to Multicam.
We've never had multiple cams.
I know, right?
too
It's
much.
like multiple cameras in one location. You had to come down here to teach me how to YouTube and Twitch. We're not doing the Twitch right now, but definitely the YouTube.
Definitely on that.
So Julien, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a different video
Yes.
for our podcast, right?
Yeah, fuck the podcast. It's not happening. Because we're making Russian pancakes. Is
Boom.
that what it's actually called? What is it actually?
They're called blini.
Blini.
Bli.
Beanies.
So it's B-L-I-N-I.
B-L-I-N-I?
Blini.
Oh, like
Blini.
blintzes.
Yeah, like blintzes.
Okay.
But it's a
not
long
at all.
So, you've had these before, I think.
No.
You've never? I've
No.
never made them for you?
No, that's why I came here.
That's literally the reason. Okay. Well, now I feel like a jackass for never having made these for you before. Anyway, so we've done a few things before we got started here. We got together our ingredients. We'll have a little photo insert here, I hope. Right here. Showing that we have milk, flour, sugar, butter, active dry yeast, salt, and some eggs. Those are all of the basic ingredients that you'll need. These are very simple. They take a little bit of time because they're yeast and they're Russian pancakes, so they're more like a crepe than those fat-ass buttermilk pancakes that we used to get.
Who needs those? Come on. Actually, those are good.
I don't believe so. I really don't think so. I did have
Camera one. Wait, camera two.
I did have really delicious breakfast where I had basically an omelet with beans and avocado and cheese wrapped inside of a buttermilk pancake, and I think that was worth it.
Sounds good.
But otherwise, these are important. So the Russian blini are going to be thin. They're going to be able to roll them up, and you're going to get a lot of them out of every batch. And the goal is to have a lot of different toppings that you can try, combinations, solo toppings, and just do a lot of different things.
Oh.
So we're going to get started because it's going to take an hour
To
for
make pancakes.
over an hour to make the pancakes, but it's just going to take an hour for us to proof. So what we have to do is we have to start with getting our measurements out
Let's do it.
and starting with all of this jazz. Luckily, the mic's going to pick that up right there.
Yeah.
So we have a cup of milk, and we're going to heat this up in the microwave for 1 minute. And then into that cup of milk, we're going to add 2 tablespoons flour, 2 tablespoons sugar, 1 teaspoon salt, and our dry yeast packet. And then we're going to proof it at 120 for 1 hour. So my oven doesn't go down to 120, so I did it at 170, let it cool off a little bit, and then we're going to put that in there covered lightly with like a little rag or something for an hour so that it can rise and give you those really delicious fluffy pancakes.
Very cool.
We're going to have a lot to do in that hour, so let's get started.
All right. Okay. So good.
So now we know that our milk is heated up. You want it hot but not boiling, that's why you do it for a minute. Putting it in here.
Mobile cow.
Now we have our flour. We use just all-purpose regular flour. You can use specialized flours for gluten needs, but that would you'd have to adjust the recipe for that a bit. I would recommend maybe a buckwheat flour if you're going for a gluten-free. So we got 1.
How much flour?
2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons flour. Now we're gonna get our sugar in there, and really this is just to give the yeast a lot of delicious things to chew on. Yeast multiplies through a process known as budding.
Budding? I'm not a biologist. I don't care.
So it grows basically on top of itself in like a fractal
cool
pattern. And then you want some goodies in there so that it can have a lot of stuff to eat.
So salt?
Salt, I don't know why we added it here now at this point. I'm gonna grab a whisk and gently whisk all this together, prepping it for our yeast. Just get a basic integration, nothing special. Don't over stir it at this point. And then our yeast can go right in, and it's warm enough that the yeast will accelerate its process of growing, but not be overwhelmed with the heat. It's important that the milk isn't too hot. You can stir it a little bit to help it integrate. Again, you don't want to disturb the yeast too much. Just integrate it a little bit. That's good for me. Gonna go over, grab our rack. I've got a nice little hand towel, but you know, you can use whatever.
Saying hi to the other camera.
So now we're ready for our delicious mix to go right into our proofing space. Now, if you have a proofing drawer or something else, that's perfect. But since I'm not that fancy, I'm just gonna stick it into my oven that I've preheated a bit. And if I'm afraid that the temperature is too high, I'm just gonna prop it open a little bit. I got my timer. Stick it on for an hour. And boom. If you don't have an hour, 45 minutes should do the trick. At least 45 minutes of proof is what you want, but an hour is pretty good. And so we're done with that. Okay. Now, when I said what was the most important part of blini, it's not just making a delicious blin that has a lot of air pockets in it and is porous, it's light and fluffy. What you really want is to have a good topping. So some of the toppings that we'll have, that we'll show you at the end of the video, are some homemade jams. So we have blackcurrant, red currant, gooseberry. Always on a Russian table when we're eating blini, we will have some sort of smoked red fish. So we got some gravlax. Usually I would show you how to do that, right, Julien?
Yeah.
But we didn't have enough time because it takes a few days to get that done.
That's true.
And so we don't have that, but we have some pre-made stuff. Again, you can do this stuff ahead of time as much as you want. We can throw in a Gravlax recipe that we've used before down in the description below if you want that, or comment, and then we'll comment back to you. And then we also have sour cream is a must. And
Yes.
I really enjoy, and a lot of people really enjoy, to make them slightly savory with a caramelized onion. So in our hour that we've got, we're going to prep our caramelized onions so that they can get nice and jammy in a shortened amount of time, because if you're going to make a super traditional caramelized onion, it will take some time. But we can show you some tricks to speed up that process. So Julien, our caramelized onions.
Yes.
We're proofing our pancakes batter. So I like to do a caramelized onion. Now I know you have better knife skills and a bunch of other stuff than I do. So my basic technique is
Slice.
doing this, using that to cut off a little bit of the
Cut it in
skin.
half. Let's go.
And just cut it in half immediately before even skinning everything.
Don't even waste time. Just cut it in half. So then we can feel it. You can take off an entire layer if you need to. Ogres are like onions, as I always say.
I think ogres are more like parfaits. Yes, parfaits are goddamn delicious. So what do I do with this little nubbin?
You keep it on there,
Okay.
and we're gonna slice the other side. So if you keep the root on the onion, then you're gonna actually keep the onion together while you're cutting it. So it's
Even if I cut this way?
yep, especially then. So right, we wanna end up getting slices of onion when we're caramelizing, because you want more of a, definitely, you don't want like diced onions for caramelized onions, because then you don't really get any of the texture of the onion in there. So caramelized onion is nice to have sort of the long strands of onions.
So we'll get
Let's say.
as close to uniform as we can.
Yeah.
I'd say, what is that, like a quarter of an inch is what I'm getting. You can go thinner.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I've got my cast iron pan here. I actually bought this pan specifically so that I could have a delicious maslenitsa at my house.
You wanted what?
Yeah.
Medium, high, medium.
We'll push it to medium high. I like to cook my onions a little bit higher, cooks them a little faster. The one trick I would suggest is when you're caramelizing onions, speed up the process with a little bit of sugar. You won't need a lot of sugar, just a little bit helps it to accelerate the jamminess process of it. So we'll take our process that should have taken a long time and shorten it to, I don't know, 15 minutes maximum, 20 minutes. There's enough oil to cover the whole thing. We're letting it heat up. The hotter you get your oil before you start cooking, the less oil is going to be absorbed into your food. So that's why you want to preheat your oil when you're cooking.
Oh, definitely.
Alright, so I'm going to toss a little bit in.
Pretty
Looks
hot.
like we're hot. So I'm going to separate it out as I go. Not a necessary thing, because as you cook it, it should separate out on its own. That's part of the process of cooking, but you know. So now we've done 3 good-sized onions, baseball-sized onions. That should give us enough for a single batch of pancakes. Blini. Give me a wooden spoon. So now, we're not going to mess with it too much. I like to coat the onions with the hot oil all over, and then just let them build heat. That way, we're ensuring that a lot of the onions won't burn, since they're covered in some sort of fat. And you don't want to overcrowd your pan because you don't want the onions steaming. Steaming is antithetical to the caramelization process. But give it enough space for things to happen. Right, Julien?
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't go more than this.
Alright, so as you can see, our onions are pretty much done. We're letting the pan cool down a bit. We're going to throw in, I think, a splash of the Chardonnay that I had on hand. Give the onions a little bit of other kick. As Julien says, the French love to finish everything with butter, so you can throw in some butter. We've got some available here, so Julien's going to throw in a pat of that. This is just to give your caramelized onions a little bit of extra flavor to their texture and sweetness. Chardonnay is nice because it's already probably buttery, thanks to the oak. At the same time, as my onions are coming up and I'm down to the last few minutes on my proofing, I'm just going to separate the egg white and the egg yolk. And I hand beat my egg white, but you can use whatever method you prefer. And I'm just going to make sure that I get some soft peaks. A goal is get big air. So what you're doing when you're doing this is attempting to get air to fold into your egg whites. So as you can see here, we've got ourselves some soft peaks. Could maybe go a little bit more. I think that's pretty fine.
Not bad.
And that took us, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes with 2 eggs at pretty much room temperature. Just beating them up and making sure that they're all nice. You don't want to do this too soon before you have to integrate them, so you're going to lose a lot of that air. Again, this isn't something that most Russians do. Most Russians will just beat all the eggs together and integrate them. This helps if you want to kind of manufacture a little bit more fluffiness into your pancakes. I did it in a separate recipe when I was making my big pancake dinner, where I made like 150 different blini, and 75 were of one style that I'm doing here, and 75 were like a 4-hour long recipe. The taste difference, minimal, but I kind of like the way that the fluffiness of the egg whites really helped to build out the holes that we'll see when we get to the final stage of our blini. Alright, now it's time for the big reveal. We've had our proof for 45 minutes to an hour, and now when we lift it up, we can see we've got a little bit of, of yeast. As you can smell it, you can really smell the yeast coming out. Again, if you proof it for a little longer, you might get a little bit more air. We've done it for the smaller amount of time so that we can show you that even with a little bit more time constraint, that you can get pretty good blini. So what we're doing now, I've already heated up my first cup of milk, so I'm just going to add that right in. Then, just because this is the container that I have to heat the milk in.
How long are you heating it in the microwave?
So this time I'm doing between 45 seconds and a minute. It's pretty much the same. It's the same principle as the first time I did it. So the first time we heated up we're doing 45 seconds to a minute, again, to keep it warm. We're going to let it proof a little bit more after this to let it rest. So we want it to preserve that warmth, that encouraging environment for the yeast to continue growing. So I'm going to do this for another minute. So while that is going, I'm going to use my whisk to integrate my egg yolk. Just getting all the wet ingredients in together. Now, this might be counterintuitive to a lot of things where they say put wet ingredients into dry ingredients, but we're going to put dry ingredients into our wet ingredients.
Why?
We're doing that because what's the most important thing when you're making blini is to make sure that they're the proper consistency.
Okay.
So when we're trying to get that really thin pancake, we're doing so by ensuring that there's enough liquid to make it a thin, runny kind of batter. You don't want it to be a super thick batter because then you're just make a buttermilk pancake. You're fine. So I'm gonna toss it into this. We've mixed up all of our wet ingredients for the most part. Now we're going to take a cup of flour, and then I like to sift it through into there. Again, when you think of Russian Soviet cooking, a lot of this, which this is,
As I do from time to time.
there is not a lot of dedication to super sophisticated methods of cooking. So think of it as like really peasant cooking. Not like updated peasant cooking, but like real peasant cooking. So sifting the flour and doing things of that nature. If you have the time to do it, do it. If you don't have the time to do it, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna make yourself a delicious meal anyway, and you're not adding on the 2 or 3 minutes that it takes to sift it through. Right? So Soviet cooking had a lot of fresh produce and things like that as well. They weren't super into manufacturer farming at the later points. They wanted to make sure that they had enough food to feed the people. And so we're going to integrate that a little bit. Should probably whisk this up. So take that. We'll bring it out. Whisk it again, not too hard, just to kind of integrate it a bit. You want to leave lumps and things, and you don't want to get too terribly involved in making a very hard batter.
Yes, that's
So we've integrated 1 cup of flour. Now a 2nd cup. I've heard that these measuring cups can be like supremely inaccurate.
Well, yes, measuring something by volume is inaccurate by nature. Measuring something by mass is much more accurate.
Right. So that's the reason that we're more concerned about the texture, and these basic ingredients are like 2 cups of flour and 2 cups of milk being added into with the beaten eggs. That's important, but what we're really looking for is the right texture, which is why later in the process we're going to add in like a 1/2 cup of milk right before we're cooking, just to make sure that we thin it out right before. Now, Julien, we have our beaten up egg whites, our soft peak egg whites.
Okay.
Do you recommend that we add that in right now, or wait till?
I'm not from Soviet Russia, so I don't know.
Good point.
You tell me.
This is going to
I
take
would
some
say
time
at
to
the
proof, so we're probably going to save that piece for after its 2nd round of going through the proofing process. And we can set this aside for 1/2 an hour for it to continue going.
Does it go back in the oven now?
Yeah, now we're going to send it through back into the oven. Alright, so what we've done, we've proofed it, we've integrated our flour and milk, and we let it rest again in a warmed place. Now we're going to bring it out. We're going to integrate our butter, our warmed milk. Again, this is a 1/4 stick of melted butter, a 1/2 cup of warmed milk, and our beaten egg whites, which by movie magic, we did at the right time.
It's true.
Alright, now our second reveal. this should have risen a little bit more. Boom!
That is
So now you see an entirely different kind of thing. So we're going to try and fold in everything and do everything properly. So we'll do some of the warmed milk. Mix it in. Now this is our milk to thin it out at the very end. So if you're stirring through your batter and you're like, wow, this isn't thin at all, add in more milk. Warm it up before you add it in, but add it in. Just before you start cooking, this is where you add in your butter. Make sure that butter is nice and melty. Integrate that all together. And again, we washed as we cooked. So we're all ready. Don't overstir your batter. And folding in our now super dead peaks, but we'll fold them in as best we can. Still got some soft pecans. Again, it's totally not necessary to do this. I like to do it because I think it adds a little bit of layer, and I'm even going to
This bowl is way too small.
to adjust which bowl it's in.
Not giving a fuck about what I get.
Whew. Now, sometimes if you choose the wrong bowl, when it's rising, it will spill over. That happened to me for sure when I was making my huge batch of pancakes for the dinner I catered for my friends. So it's good to occasionally check in on the process in the oven. So now we're fully integrating our eggs whites. I don't know if I'm beating it to all hell or not, so. It loses all the air. So as you can see, this batter pretty runny. This is pretty much the consistency that we want it to be. We still have a lot of this air and we can listen to it. So now we're ready to start the cooking process. And remember, we started with so little and now we've got so much. And we've integrated all of it so that we can take this and slap it into our pan and start cooking. Now, the kind of pan that you're going to use is also super important. So, as Julien pans the camera over, this is the one that I like to use. This is just your basic non-stick pan, small enough that it can make a lot of smaller ones. If you want larger pancakes so that you have a large surface area, go ahead and do that. I think that the more pancakes you have, the better it is to try different things. So you don't always want the biggest pancake in the world. Remember, these are not American pancakes, these are blini. So we'll make some blini magic now.
Good enough.
Alright, so now we're ready for our process of cooking. As you can see, we've got a little bit of oil. That's usually just to start you off. And just like in American pancakes, the first pancake kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's true. It's always about the second pancake off that pan. It's really much better.
As you can see from this integration, this even might be a little thick.
Really?
So we might want to integrate a little bit more milk into it, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to start. Now we're not going to fill the whole ladle. We're just going to go here. And
About half a ladle.
about half a ladle. I think that'll explode the thing. It's fine. So. And what you're going to see is some of these characteristic bubbles starting.
Very cool.
And then once it's about complete, you're going to want to get it to flip over.
Wow.
And then you get this characteristic.
Super fast.
Yeah. They're very thin. This was a bit small, so we'll do a little bit more batter in the next batch. this one sucks. So we'll get on the next one.
And that, you know, how much more batter you get?
Clear this down, and lower that heat a bit. This is one. Now what we say in Russian is like, if you have a bad one, that's just so that you can test how your bad it is.
Fair enough.
So we've got our very hot pan now. So I've turned down the heat. I'm going to integrate some of this.
Full ladle.
Full ladle. Let's see how this goes. Probably fucked up on the edge, but I mean, I messed up on the edge.
YouTube, no censors.
This felt like a wholesome video. You see how it's a bit too much? There might be a bit too much batter in there, so I might want to bring this down a bit with some heated butter.
Okay.
But we got our nice little thing going. Whoop. And whoop.
Wow.
There you go. Now we can
Sticks
bring the
together.
heat down. See, what you want to develop is these holes. It's porosity. It's got a lot of air pockets in it. That's very typical characteristic of what you want. Now the other thing is, while we're testing our batter,
Okay.
as you're cooking it,
Those are good.
it's a little bit
Finally
sour.
Transported to Soviet Russian soil. I've always wanted to go.
Now we're bringing this out here, and so as you can see, this side looks a little bland compared to this side. So if this side is better, just make sure this is the side that people see. I'm gonna do about 3/4. I'm gonna grate it a bit better.
Wow, it really does have a lot of holes. It's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
So Julien, how would you say that this compares to a regular pancake so far?
I haven't had any toppings, but I gotta say, it tastes pretty good. I don't know.
And then the
Pancakes
cooking?
on their own, are they really that good? They're pretty good.
These are.
These are.
The other thing that you might want to do, depending on how much butter intake you want, is butter down each of these as they go in. That's a really classic Russian way of doing things.
We gotta build up a lot of fat in order to withstand the winter.
It keeps them moist in here, keeps a little bit of butter in there, really makes it taste great. If you want to cut that out, you can. We won't be doing that here. But, you know, feel free to do that in your own space. It's an indulgence once in a while, or it's just something that you can spend 3 hours doing. So, we'll do that. And then we'll get, what do you say, 2 more done? And then we can start tasting them?
Sure.
Maybe 1 more and start tasting it?
Yeah.
It's already 3.
Oh, is it 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so now you've made a bunch of your pancakes. We're just going to cut this process a little short. So you start, you load it normally. Now I'm going to make a very traditional Russian style pancake. So I'm going to take some sour cream, layer that in, like that. You don't want too many toppings on it at once. Some people overload it, some people don't. Now this is sour cream, and this is red currant. This is blackcurrant jam. These are our caramelized onions. So I'm going to do some sour cream and some caramelized onions. Therefore, we get a little bit of the sweet, a little bit of the savory. Now we're going to roll it like that. And now you can eat it like a normal human with a fork and a knife, or just tear it away.
Oh man, that
Enjoy
was
it.
delicious. Yeah, that's riding for you.
Yup. So we're rushing to the airport now. We're going fast, just because We
So
tried to film a video for y'all.
We're trying real hard. But the vlog is still happening, guys. Don't even worry about it. YouTube. We're so good at this. Oh shit, we're going fast.
Allegedly fast. Really? We're
Under
going
the speed limit.
for sure within the speed limit.
Don't even worry about it. But Syracuse had a good time.
I'm glad you did.
I think people should come visit the Salt City every now and then. It's not as bad as you might think. Just maybe in the summertime you should visit.
For sure. The
'Cause it's
wineries
kinda
are
bleak
great
right
in the summertime.
Yeah.
But it's up there. It's 69 right now.
Oh, it's 68 now.
It's because I got the air conditioning going. See, it's so hot, I've got air conditioning.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your Russian pancakes when you make them at home. And I'm going to New York City now because that's the end of this vlog.